Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome Paint Partiers. This is Liza from Liza's Paint Parties, and today we are going to be painting Caught in the Spring Rain. So it's a really nice painting. It's gray, it's a little dreary I guess, but kind of beautiful. I think it's gonna really capture some really nice elements so we can have a lot of fun with it today. So we're gonna get started at 6 o'clock, a little bit after 6, just to make sure there's anyone who wants to jump in at that point. So it's we have about like 8 minutes or so. So we'll get started and get our supplies ready to go before we start. This is my first Wednesday evening paint party, so I'm excited to have you guys all here. Usually more of like a morning person, so to do something at 6 is we'll see how we'll see how I go. I think my energy will still be up there though, so we can all help each other out. So as you guys are joining in, if you're going to be joining in for the painting today, just please say hi, let me know that you're here, and we'll get started in a little bit. Today, like I said, we're going to be doing this painting. I'm going to turn the camera over so you can see it from my camera screen. So we're going to be doing this one here, Caught in the Spring Rain. So I would suggest, if you haven't already, grab the picture from, you can grab a screenshot from the previous post that announces the winner, and then you can go ahead and just have it available for you so that you can refer to it as we're going through and painting. So I'm going to be using a canvas board. This is just simple, it's nice and thin, which is nice for storing and stuff, all the paintings that we've been doing for a long time. So I'm using this canvas board. This is an 11 by 14 size, and I'm going to be doing it in portrait. So if you want to get that going. Again, we're using an inspiration image. So this is an image that I really liked and I found online, and that's the one that everyone voted on and they liked the best. So I'm going to take you through and walk you through how I would approach recreating it and the spin or the different takes that I would take with it. I'm going to stay pretty true to try to mimic the original as much as possible, but I'd like you guys to think about how you would like to make it your own. So if you want to change the colors of the flowers, if you want to add any other elements, like please do so. This is really meant just to have a lot of fun and to enjoy being creative all together. The colors that we're going to use, so this is going to be predominantly quite gray with green, red, white essentially. But what you need is, if you have our primary colors, so if you have, I always pick them up the wrong way. So if you have yellow, blue, and red, you can make pretty much every color. So if you have these colors, plus if you have black and white, I will talk you through how to go about creating your version of this image. If you have a pre-mixed green paint, I actually have one too. I might dip in and use it just for simplicity as I'm going through and leading the session. So if you have pre-mixed colors, you can feel free to use it too. All the paints I use are just ones I pick up at Dollarama, so they're not expensive. They're just, I'm showing you what you can do with like limited amount of money and just for fun. I also have my coffee, which I'm still drinking coffee at 6, but this is a normal occurrence. So if you guys have your drinks, have them ready to go. We'll get started in a few minutes. So yeah, as you guys come in, feel free to say hi and let me know where you guys are watching us from. If we have some of our regular people, and the time's a little bit different, so I was wondering if this would work for everyone still. I'm back at work now, so my Saturdays are no longer free and available. I have to be in field. I was very busy this last weekend. I was very tired when I got home. But it was fun to get back out there. Awesome. So yeah, so like I said, so grab a screenshot or a copy of the image that we're going to be painting today from our previous post. You can have it available. When I turn the camera to the my canvas, unfortunately I'm not able to have our image also available so you can see it at the same time. So just have it on another screen or beside you or whatnot. Let's talk through a little bit how we're going to approach this image while we're getting started. Okay. So there's our image there. Sorry for the bit of a glare. So it's we're going to start off when we get started. I still haven't put paint on my palette yet, but we're going to get a nice background in place. We're not going to worry so much about making it look exactly like this painting right off the hop. We're going to just get gray on our canvas just to create a nice layer behind it, and then we'll start layering on top and making some cool techniques to get that image in the background. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. Once we do that, then we're going to start building in the green on all of the stems of the tulips. So we're going to start with the darkest and come lighter, and then we'll do the flowers, and then we'll do the rain. So just talking you guys through how we're going to approach it. All right, perfect. So we'll wait another 2 minutes or so before we get started. As we do that, so I do have my water container. Keep an eye on that because we are going to be doing quite dark colors to start, so you may want to change up your water before we get into the flowers, but I'll remind you as we go. I have a large thick brush that I can use to cover most of my canvas, a more medium one, and I have a fine brush as well for some more detail. I have a few other brushes just like hanging out too, just like another kind of medium one and another fine tip one that's a little thicker than the other one, just because I like the way they feel, and I might switch into them depending on the feeling of the canvas. Cool, so let's get some paint on the palette. My palette is always very dirty, but let me see if I can tilt the camera somehow so you can see when I do this. Let's try new things today. Ooh, that's not working. Or not, maybe that's not gonna let me turn. We're just gonna leave it like that then. All right, so we're gonna get black paint. Okay, and just like stick some on there. Remember, your acrylic paint dries very quickly, so just keep that in mind. So you may not want to do big glob-a-roonies, although at the same time we do need quite a bit of white. Black will overpower the white and make it super gray very fast. So that's kind of the proportions, like a big glob of white and a bit less of black. I am also going to add a little bit of blue. I noticed in the picture, in our inspiration picture, there's a little bit of blue peeking through some of the gray, so I kind of want to add a bit more of those elements to it. So we're going to do that too. Awesome. All right, so let's see. So we're at 6 o'clock right now, and we're going to get started very shortly. So I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. Awesome. Okay, great. Let's get my hair up and out of the way, and we'll get started. Awesome. All right. It's funny, I think I got more viewers by me putting my hair up. Is that something people like to watch? Now they're leaving, they're like, oh, she's not continuing to play with her hair. Anyways, okay. Get ready for me talking to myself a lot. For anyone who hasn't been here before, I'm very used to it. Yeah, actually a bunch of people left. I guess they like that I should just put my hair up into videos. All right, let's get this. It's a little dark. I'm using more light today because it's later in the day, really. Let's see if I can tilt this a little bit more. Oh my God. Sorry guys. Bear with me. All right, no one's commented yet. I don't wonder, like, the comments are on, right? Just want to make sure you guys can comment if you want to. I don't know how you would tell me that though if you can't comment, but okay. Well, does the seam runs quiet or tired for today? See if that's the reason. All right, so we have this going. So let's start off. So I have a big glob-a-rooney of white on my palette. I got black and I have a little bit of blue. I have, oh yay, there's comments. Thank you, Rula and Amit and Stacy and Irene. Thank you guys. Thanks, Amit, for telling me the comments are on. Just want to make sure. I was like, what is going on? Awesome. Oh, Marion, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, Michelle, yay, I'm seeing a lot of familiar names. I'm so happy. Thanks, guys. Oh, maybe it was like being delayed or something. Oh, yay, I'm so happy. Now I feel so connected to you. Yay! Robin's there. Thank you, Robin. Christina, we are painting this painting. So, Caught in the Spring, I think I called it Caught in the Spring Rain. That's our painting. All right, so just grab a screenshot. I don't know if you want to grab a screenshot of this because that's not going to be that great. But you can grab it from our previous post and have it available beside you so you can use it as a reference. I have mine on my computer on the side so I can look at it as I go. Notice no one was talking. Okay, I mean, that's what I thought. Perfect. Hi, Marlu. First time here. Oh, now we got the conversation started. I like it. I like it. And I saw someone who was it. It was, Rula said she's going to watch and paint late tomorrow. That sounds awesome. I'd love to see your paintings, so please share them when you guys are done. Seeing live for the first time. Yay! Yes, Soraya. Yes, they will be available later. So all my painting parties are available on the Liza's Painting Parties Facebook site. Under the videos tab, you can watch them at any time you want. I don't take them down. I don't have any plans to, so there's tons. I think we're on video, I don't even know. We're like 26 today or 27. It's pretty crazy. Awesome. Okay. Woo. Now I'm really excited now that you guys are all jumping in. Lost my starting point. All right. So let's start off by getting some... Sorry, I'm just thinking. Now I got thrown off a little bit. Let's get some... Hi, Laura. Awesome. What color? So so always have the basic color. So I have a big glob of white, I have black, and I have a little bit of blue. So what we're gonna do to start is I'm gonna put some white on my brush and a little bit of black. And I'm gonna start just putting on this grayish on my canvas just to get a background on here. So a lot of white on my brush, and now I'm just going to continue putting paint on my canvas. Again, a lot more white. So I started with like a glob of white on my brush with like a little bit of black to kind of have a bit of a gray. You only need like a little bit of black. Don't put a lot. Whatever you think you want to put on of black, put like a quarter of that to start, because black will take over your entire thing. Okay, so let's just put white and a little bit of black, a lot of white, a little bit of black all over your canvas to kind of have a nice base for this background, this gray sky background. Okay, and when you do your strokes, as you're, I think, seeing me now, I'm just kind of like, I'm not trying to be uniform at all. I'm just going back and forth, making X's, just going all over, making sure everything's nicely covered. Oh yeah, of course. Jessica, can you do a bluish background? You can do whatever you want. Make it your own painting. If you want to go blue, do it. This is for inspiration. I want you guys to feel inspired when we're doing this. I'm not an expert. I just love painting. And I love to share my love with you guys. So that's really it. And so if you have any, as you're going through and you're finding a really cool technique, so as you're doing blue and it's really working for you, like, let us know. You guys can share in the comments, like, things that are working well. If you have other tips and tricks, do it. I'm just putting a little bit more black on my brush to add to the gray, but I'm kind of trying to spread it out a lot because I don't want the black to take over. So I'm kind of doing like X's and like bringing the colors down further. I'm going to bring them down further than I need, just so we have a nice background for all the tulips and everything that are going to be painted on top. Yay, I'm so glad. Sorry, yeah, my name gets mispronounced all the time. I think probably because, really, like, if you were to pronounce my name, I guess, in the proper English way, it would be Liza. But my parents named me Liza. So it is, I guess, technically a little bit off that way. But my name gets mispronounced. But the thing is, I can't forgive when everyone says Lisa. I'm like, okay, there's no S there, guys. Come on. Chop, chop. My favorite was a friend of mine for a long time. I think we were friends for a good, like, 2 years or something. Thought my name was Elizabeth. when he introduced me to as parent or something, someone was like, oh, is her full name Elizabeth? He's like, yeah. And I was like, no, it's not. There's no Elizabeth in that name. All right, just Liza. Okay, so I kind of have like a mismatchy back and forth of this gray. In this corner, they have it a little bit darker, so I'm gonna just make it a little darker with my black. So I'm just gonna add more black to it. But again, let's bring the brush back and forth and really enjoy the texture that the bristles are creating. Okay, I hope the blue's working out for you too. I think it'll look really nice. I put a little bit of blue on my palette, and I'm gonna add a little bit just for funsies, I think too. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get a little bit of blue. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna add a little bit of blue like here and here. It like just got overpowered by the black. Okay, let's do that. Put a little bit more. Get some more white going. So it's a little, yeah, you really can't see it that much. I don't know if I might have to clean off my brush a bit to get that blue going. So yeah, so just have fun with it. Go back and forth. When it's still wet, it will continue to blend really nicely. As it dries, it will create a nice base for you to put more paint on top. And the more layers you do, I feel like the more real, more textured it becomes. There's no wrong way to do this. Just have fun with it. Yeah, that happens a lot, Soraya. Makes sense. Cool. So I'll try and keep my eye on the comments. It just may be tricky if I start getting too much into my painting. But if any of you guys see a comment, and if you feel free to jump in and answer too. Like I said, I'm not the expert. I just like to paint, and I want to inspire you guys to paint too. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some more blue here. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. I'm doing pretty good. This is fun. You know what, I'm gonna bring it all the way down because I'm noticing it actually does come all the way down and it gets pretty dark behind here. So I'm gonna get some more black and just make this area in here darker. Get some white, mix it in. If you're doing like a different color, then just maybe make it a bit darker in these areas here. Just have the shadow behind all of the stems and the flowers that we're going to paint later. This is very different than like painting with having all these strokes is very outside of my comfort zone. I like to have things very controlled and more organized, so this is actually feeling very freeing. Hope you guys are enjoying it too. Like I said, when it's wet, you can still kind of continue to blend, and as it dries, you won't be able to blend as much. So just watch your canvas. You might have to work kind of quickly, and use quick. Don't think about it. Just like get the paint on the canvas and have fun with it, and get clumpy and move it around. And if you do it and you look at it and you're like, I hate it, wait till it dries and you can just try again. That's the great thing about acrylic, is that as soon as it dries, you are ready to go and you can paint right over it, which is pretty freaking awesome. So don't stress if you end up not liking what you're seeing right off the bat. Same with acrylic too. A lot of times when you start, it never looks as good as it does, or as you think it's going to right away. So give yourself a bit more time, add a few more layers, and I think you'll end up really enjoying it as you keep going. This one is a little darker in this corner. So up here is already dried a bit for me. I'm gonna add a little bit more. So I'm keeping my strokes very like small, but I'm moving my brush around quite a bit. Also remember to paint the size of your canvas, especially if you have like a full-on canvas. I'm using, like I said, a canvas board, so it's very thin. It could easily be framed. But if you're using like an actual canvas, make sure you're getting the sides of it. I should do that too, technically too, just in case. All right. So you can kind of continue doing this until you feel like you want to stop. The thing is with this, before we go on to the next step, you do want this background to be fully dry. So let's have some more fun with this. Let's do this for another, like, I don't know, like 5 minutes or so. Maybe get another layer on top of here, and then maybe we'll let it dry, and then we'll go to the next part. So hopefully that will give you guys enough time to play with it more. I still want to play with it. I haven't cleaned my brush once, just so you guys know. I'm using the same brush. I just keep adding more paint, and then I just paint on here. Okay. And now by putting on like the next kind of layer on top, it will create more texture, it'll look even better. Blue back in here. I feel like I'm losing my blue. The glimpses of a clear sky. Okay. So again, I'm just trying to build it a little bit darker in here. We're going to put our tulips on either side of this. I'm just going to bring it down, I think, pretty much, because I want to give myself a nice basis. So if, or when I do my tulips, if anything shows from the background, it just looks like the grayish background. So I'm going to bring it right down to each of the corner. Maybe I'll make that a little darker too. Ooh, this side is dried. Trying to find another place to like touch or hold your canvas while you paint another corner. That's the tricky part. Okay. So I'll just kind of have like a darker base on both sides because we're going to be putting in our tulip stems in these areas. So I'm just going to create already some shadows back here. Keep it darker. When I say shadows, I literally just mean that it's going to be darker background in these areas. Ooh, it's so fun. It looks so pretty. All right. Perfect. Okay, so Karen's asking, what are we painting again? So we are painting this painting here. This is Tulips in the Rain. Oh, I can't get it in. There we go. Like a mirror image. There we go. So what I would suggest is just grab a screenshot of that image from one of the winning posts, and then you can use it to paint along it. Hi, Anne. It said 7. I had it for 6 o'clock, so I don't know why it would show us 7 for you. I don't understand that. Although I'm sorry for the miscommunication. But all my paint parties would be at 6 o'clock, because 7 o'clock to 9 would make me probably start sleeping close to 9, and you guys don't want to, well, I don't know. People seem interested in watching me put my hair up, so maybe people want to watch me sleep. Diana. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Karen, for responding to Diana. Perfect. That's great. And Stacy. Oh, fantastic. Mother and daughter painting tonight. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. So Stacy's asking, she's saying they didn't go quite as dark. That should be fine, right? Yeah, that's totally fine. Again, this is, you're going to make it your own, right? So I'm trying to mimic this image with the inspiration image as much as I can. It's still going to be different because my style is different. So even when I look at that image, I think some of the strokes are a bit more like angular, where mine are definitely more like, I don't know, swishy. I don't use technical terms. So yeah, so it's definitely going to be a bit different. I was trying to capture that. What I would say though is you can stay lighter. Just try to stay with similar values. So if we end up, what do you call it? Like whatever color you use, just try to have it a bit darker at the bottom. And then it'll be lighter around here. That's kind of when we do that. It doesn't have to be as dark, as long as this, maybe the bottom part is a little bit darker and you have some of the shadow darkness happening here in the middle. And then keep it lighter on top. Try to mimic it that way. Like I think I'm a little bit too light in some of these spots. But maybe I'll switch it up and like pop a red flower there instead of the white one. I don't know yet. We'll see. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a look and see, because I did do pretty much 2 layers. I'm just gonna see if I like the way things are looking before I continue on. What I'm looking for, what bothers me is if I can see the canvas through it. So like over in this side here, I see a lot of my brush strokes, and behind it I can still see some of the canvas, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna just paint a little bit over that, even though I know it's gonna be covered by some of those stems. So I'm just gonna do that a bit. I'm just gonna go back over because I don't want to see the canvas poking through. Okay, and then maybe get some darker color. Oh, am I almost out of my black already? Wowie zowie. Goes fast. Okay, and I think I saw a little bit on this side too. Yeah, I should ask, did anyone else, did it show up at 7 o'clock for anyone else? Because I wasn't, I didn't see it. I scheduled it for 6. So I just want to make sure that no one else had that issue. There's also a lot of other painters who do things too. So maybe someone else is doing a session at 7. I was watching another painter the other day. I think it's Painting with Megan. She is phenomenal. She's so fun. If you haven't checked her out, I would strongly suggest that too. Just making this a little bit darker, so I'm just still playing with the colors. Okay, so I like that better because now I can't see the strokiness in the canvas coming through as much. There's still a little bit going on here, but we'll cover that part up anyways when we have the tulips, so that's fine. And that's just me, like I'm particular about that. So if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. Okay. So yeah, so just take a step, like look back at your painting and see if you like the strokes, you like what's happening. Do some little touch-ups, and then we're gonna move on in a moment or two. Maybe. I also get into doing these little strokes and sometimes get lost in them. Kind of meditative, I think. Not that I meditate. I should. Cool. I think I'm gonna stop and let it dry. Oh, perfect. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah, Laura, you like 6 o'clock. That's good. Yeah, I think 6 is a good time for me. We'll see how it goes. Like, I'm just trying it. I was really digging the Saturdays at 2. That was my groove, but I think this needs to be the case now for me to, you know, get paid and work. Yeah, so, and the base coat is, yeah, so basically we were just playing with whites and putting a little bit of black, and you just kind of play with it. So I just did it all on the canvas. So I was going back and forth with white, put a little bit of black, and then you just kind of like go back and forth and build and keep adding black or white, put a little bit of blue, and you just go back and forth with it. So I didn't pre-mix anything. I just popped it on my palette and just used my brush just to play with it on there. So I don't know how else to explain that. I mean, you guys kind of saw it a little bit while I was doing it. This will be available so you can watch it afterwards too if you missed that a little bit. Oh, thanks, Nicole. Thanks so much. She said it was the first time watching me live, which is awesome and looks great. Thank you so much. Oh, and thank you, Deborah, for letting me know. So yours said 6. That's good. I'm glad. Very glad. Diana, Diana asked if this was wet on wet. So this, yes and no. So it started off that way, where it was just kind of, we start with wet and then you kind of build off the sides and mix as you keep going. And then I let it dry, and then I went back over the dry and then just like put another layer on top. And I find when you do that, it just feels more, there's more depth to your painting. And that's what I really like. So that's what I did. Man, I think the angle's not so good on the camera there. There we go. And you also just discovered Megan today, Deborah. Yeah, she's awesome. She has some great paintings. Awesome. Yeah, sorry, Anne. I'm so sorry. You can probably check it out. We'll have it available as soon as it's done. It'll be on the page, so you can watch it. It'll be free, and you can check it out. Yep. Just crosses, crisscross, back and forth. Michelle likes 6 too, and yeah, 6 was a good time. Oh, you were double checking for me. Sorry, that's what you were doing. So sorry. Awesome. All right, cool. So I'll let you guys, we'll just sit for a little bit and let that dry. Or mostly dry. I just don't want it to be wet when we do the next part. And what I should be doing is I'm just going to clean off my brush now that I'm done doing my crisscrosses of lots of white paint, a little bit of black paint, little dabbles of blue all over the canvas. Okay. All right. So just what I do with my brushes, I always wash them. I don't leave them in the water. I just wash them out, and then I just, on a paper towel, I just basically push them back and forth to just try to get all the paint off. So I kind of do that until, by doing it, there's no more paint on the actual paper towel. That's how I take care of my brushes that I've had for a very, very, very long time. All right. So, like I said, the next step, once this has dried out, so basically if you touch it, you shouldn't have paint. It's not really a good indication because I already have paint on my fingers. But if you touch it, there should be no paint that comes off. So I'm touching it and like my hand's coming back clean. So it's still a little bit wet to the touch, but it's not like coming off, right? That's how you want it. So the next step, once you kind of have that going, is we are going to, let me grab the picture again. So let's look at it again. You can see my light in the background. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to start building all of these stems here. Okay. So we're going to start with the darkest right in the back. So I think we're going to start even with like black. And then we'll have maybe like a darker green, and then we'll layer it up until we get like to our lightest green stroke. So we'll start with black and then we'll start layering. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to just have these strands that we're going to be bringing up from the bottom and up from the side. Okay, so that's going to be our next step, just to make it look very dense. So I'm going to get some more black paint on my palette, and I would use like a fine brush or a brush that you just have a bit more control over. Sometimes the big brushes work fine too. It's just whatever you have more control over. So I'm going to use, let me see. I'm going to go with my finest. I don't know if I want to go that thin. I'm going to go with like, so this brush, my finest brush, the one I like to use for really detail, is a 1. And this one is a 3. So it doesn't look as neat because it's not wet. But I think I'm going to try my 3 brush and see how it goes. And if the lines are a little too thick, or if I want some more thinner ones, I might go back to my 1. So just see what you have and what will kind of create that control that you want. Okay, so I'm just dipping my brush in water to just get the bristles in where I want it to be. Just trying to bring them up a nice point. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's get some black on it. I'm putting some water, mixing it with the black a little bit to make it very like ink-like versus very paint-like, so it's a little thinner, but not super thin. If it's too thin, it's going to be drippy and runny, which, I mean, might work in this too, because it is like a rain painting, right? So that could be kind of another technique we could play with. And we're just, let's just start and just, let's put in some lines. I kind of want it to be more opaque than this one, so I might go back down over like this. Okay, and we're gonna have just, so let's just put in a bunch of lines, start getting this feeling. Okay, and these are the background. You're still gonna build more on top of this, so keep that in mind. So let's just put in, and they're going to come into this darker area. Okay. Okay, let's just keep building these stems that are in the background. Oh, I don't like this one at all. There you go. Okay, so I'm just going to put just black lines to get the impression of these in the background. Okay. So just have them all coming from like the sides, some of them come from below, and then they're going to be a bit taller up here, and they're going to be hanging over more to the side on this side here. And we're going to follow the same type of pattern when we layer in the other colors on top of it. Putting some more kind of in the background. Maybe they don't go all the way down, those ones. Okay. And every time I'm going back, I'm dipping it a little bit in the water and then putting it into the paint. Just to keep it, because otherwise I find that it doesn't give me a smooth line. It ends up being choppy, and I don't like that. This choppy line. Go away. Go away, choppy line. Okay. Ooh. I have to keep telling myself we're going to build more on top of it, but when I do a line that I don't like, such a control freak. I don't know if any of you guys are too, but if you are, you know what I mean. Alright, and I'm going to go on this side too and put some lines on this side too. This side's not as tall as the other side, so I'm just going to kind of see where I want them to fall. So that's kind of the way I'm going to have them going. Some are still going to come up. So let's just put in some lines. Still have some space for the background to kind of show for now. we're going to end up putting more lines of different colors. Well, with greens, different shades of green, I should say. I mean, you could have different colors. If you want to make this like a crazy colorful grass, go for it. That could be cool. And then put some, do the opposite. Do stems of different colors and make the flowers all green. It'd be like a really weird world. Okay. Basically, you can do what you want to do. Okay, so I think I'm liking the flow and the balance of this. I think I'm gonna put a few more of these lines kind of into this darkness that I've done, even though it's not the way it is in the original one, but I think I kind of like that. I feel like it's adding to the textures that we've already built with the background. So I'm just gonna put them almost, so they almost touch. They're almost veering into each other. Okay, and I always just like kind of like look back from the painting to see how it looks from a distance. When we're too close to anything in life lesson, it's good to kind of like step away and see it from a further perspective, because it might show us something else. When we're too close to it, we don't see the full picture, right, and how it actually looks all together. Okay, I do want some of these to come up a little bit higher, I've realized, so I'm going to bring them up a little bit higher. Not too high, because the black obviously doesn't come up too high, but I'm going to bring it a bit higher. Yeah, that's better. And some of those are the more green. Okay, so I won't go any more than that. Okay, cool. I like it. So I'm just going to be a bit of a control freak and go over some of my lines that I don't think are straight enough. You don't have to do this part if you're not so crazy as I am, because honestly we're probably going to cover them up anyways, but they're going to bother me if I don't do this. Okay, and we'll move on in just a moment to the next color. And just finish up on your black lines. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, awesome. Okay. I'm gonna clean off that brush a bit. It's okay if there's a little bit of black on it, because the next layer we're gonna put, I want it to be like a dark green. So if there's a little bit of black, it'll be fine. So if you don't have a pre-mixed green, we're going to use blue and we're going to use yellow. So, and I would do probably 1 part blue, 2 parts yellow. So that's what I'm going to mix right now. Can't really see that, but so yeah, so I'm just mixing yellow and blue. I just put them close to each other and then I just bring them together in the middle until I get the kind of green color I want. I don't want it to be too light, so I'm going to put a little more blue in it. I'm going to try just to darken it by using more blue, or lighten it by putting more yellow. I might put like a touch of black in, but again, remember, black overpowers everything. So same with white, like it can really impact it, so I don't know if I want to do that right yet. Yeah, so I kind of have this like mixed color in the middle, a big pool of it right there. So that's how I'm doing it for now. I do have a pre-mixed green in a bottle as well, but I figured I'll just do it this way. I'm gonna grab a little touch of black and I'm gonna mix it in. Make it a tad darker. So basically just come with like a darker green color, okay? Doesn't have to be the same as mine. Okay, I'm just gonna do that. Okay, so let's try that and see. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. Might still be a little light, but okay. Let's see how it goes, and then if I want it darker, we'll make it darker. All right, so now we're gonna do the same thing, but now with like a dark green, okay? When we do this, you can put them anywhere you want. So it doesn't have to follow the same lines of the ones you've already done. We're just gonna build it from there. So I'm gonna still put a little bit of water as I'm doing this to make my lines smooth. And I'm using my like dark green that I've mixed. Okay, and let's just start putting some of these in. Okay, I do the same type of thing. Have some that go straight, some that come from the side. Oh, maybe don't throw your paintbrush like I just did. At least it didn't get on my clothes. If you do get acrylic paint on your clothes, if you let it dry, it will be there forever and ever, and you can remember our paint session together for the rest of your lives. So you want to wash it out as soon as possible if you get it on your clothes. Oh my god, I did it again. Okay, I know why, because there's a paintbrush inside my water, which I never usually leave, and it's throwing me off. There we go. Let me just take that out. Much better. Okay. So I would say I'm putting fewer of these than my black, but I want them to be opaque, and I'm finding that some of them were not. I put a little bit too much water on my brush, and I don't want to be able to see my shadows like behind them. Like these should be like actual physical things that are in front of the black lines. So you want to just take a look and make sure that you can't see the black through them, because I think that will look a little bit weird. Okay. And we're still going to go one step lighter as well, so keep that in mind when we're doing these lines. We're still going to put another layer on top of this after. Okay. All right, you guys are doing okay, I think. I don't see any more comments right now, so I think everyone's all right. If you need anything, just reach out and let me know. Okay, I'm going to continue and put some of these green lines, dark green lines on this side as well. Okay. So yeah, just keep going until you're happy with the way it looks. And then if you're happy with it, you can just stop for a little bit until we go to the next part, which will be just to make a lighter color and build on that. Okay. A little bit green at the bottom here. Okay. Cool. And again, look from a bit of a distance to see if there's anything you want to touch up on. Okay. And some of the stems of those big flowers in the background. So like this one might be a stem for one of the flowers I use. So I'm just going to make it a little bit more refined, I guess. Just so it's more opaque. I think I'm going to use that for one of those flowers. I think maybe I'm going to use this one too. Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'm going to use that for a flower, that for a flower, and then I think I'm going to have to put some more in and go from there. Looks like I definitely splattered some paint up here, but c'est la vie. So Terry, you just started black grass. Okay, yeah, no problem. You can take your time, do your thing. So do the black part, and then we'll do like a dark green, and then I want to let this, I don't want to paint right over top of this. I did paint a little bit of my dark green over my black, and then it just blended together, because that's what happens. And I don't really like that too much, so I'm just gonna try to cover that up a little bit now that it's dried a bit. Okay. I'm gonna touch up some of these. So we'll let that, all right, so we'll wait a moment for that. Just gonna rinse that out a little bit. Is there black grass? It's freaking you out. Are you freaked out because of the black grass? Does it just look kind of like the painting's creeping you out? Is that, it does feel pretty creepy. With just the black like squigglies coming on with like the darkness. In terms of the vibe, if you just mean like putting black on top of what you just painted, yeah, that's always scary. But you know what? That's always the scary part. Like every time you draw like a beautiful sunset and then it's like, oh, let's put the silhouette on top of the sunset. Every time it's like a mini heart attack. And then you just kind of like do it, you know? Cool. So we'll just give you guys a little bit more time. So it's right now, let's see, let me do a time check as well. So it's 6:53, so that's not too bad. Okay, so it's been about an hour, not too shabby. So the things that are remaining, so we're gonna do one more layer. We're gonna do a lighter green on top of here. Kind of like the highlight, the big show stems, the show stems. We're gonna do that. And then we're gonna place in where we want our flowers. So we'll do a few of those. And then we have to put in our rain. And I want to do our rain last because the rain's going to go kind of on top of like everything we paint. So that will be the last thing we do, is to put those little lines of white to signify the rain. So just talking through what our next steps are going to be. Okay, I'll give you guys a little bit more time. If you guys are feeling good and ready to go on to the next step of us putting in the lighter color green, if you want to give me like a thumbs up, just let me know. That'd be great. I'll give it a little bit more time. Okie dokie. Make sure my phone still has battery. Okay, we're good. More time. Okay. Alright, so I'll just peek at you guys with my eye. Cool. So yes, just have fun with it and just layer it up. And then we'll add another one in a little bit of just like lighter green lines. I just started in the dark green. Okay, sounds good. All right, Lori's ready. Awesome. I'm really loving like the background technique. Like I really like the way the sky turned out. I think it's really cool. Hope you guys are liking yours too. You're digging it. Now that the more I look at it, the more I want to like fix some of my lines. Want to like make them more straight or opaque. That's the problem with me. I just keep looking at it and I'm like, I can fix it more. Could be here for like hours and hours just doing the same things. All right, Laura's good to go. Awesome. Okay, like that. And you guys can see the painting all right. Robin gave me a smiley face. She's good to go, I think, too. Yay. All right. Okay, so I think mine's still a little wet. But we can start doing on your palette, for anyone who's ready, we can just start mixing an even like lighter green. So I think with the green that I made, I'm gonna try to put a little bit, I don't know if I wanna go white or wanna go yellow. I think I'm gonna put more yellow into it first and play with that a little bit to see if I can just make it lighter with the yellow. Because I put white into it, I don't know, it might get too washed out. I still want it to have more of a green pigment kind of feel to it. And I want to use white more for like the rain and also maybe for like some highlight. So I'm just going to mix. So all I'm doing here is I'm just putting some yellow into that dark green I mix. I'm just putting almost all my yellow, maybe all of it, into it. So I can just get like a lighter green. You could use white as well. I just feel like that I would like the yellow tint in it more. I might do that after, put a little bit of white too, but okay. So if you have that color good to go, okay, we're gonna do the same thing. Only with this, we're gonna put fewer of these strokes, I would say, and just be more, I don't know if thoughtful is the right word, but just more precise as to where you want them to be. You want to make sure these ones are very opaque, so you can't see through them. These are like these are the main event. These are the showstoppers. Ready-ish. No worries, Daisy. Don't worry. I want to just make sure you guys can get the steps, and remember to like this will be available after we do the live. So if you're a little behind, once this is done, you can always like go back and you can rewind and like go back to certain spots. as needed. So, okay. So my brush has a lot of paint on it. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to be a bit more particular, I guess, about some of them. So I want... Okay, so I really despise how this line did not decide to be opaque. I blame my brush and my canvas, not myself. Okay, I'm just gonna go over it. So I'm just getting water basically, just to make it a little bit easier for it to slide, but not too much, or else it ends up being too see-through. Okay, so that's going to be one of my lines. I think I might actually move and use my thinner brush, because that I have more control over. This one's getting a little fat. So I'm just going to use my number 1, my thin brush, to do this part. Okay, and the same thing we did before, we're just going to put in some more lines, only they're even lighter color. That had a lot of water in it, and this is not good. Okay, I feel like I went a little bit too yellow. They look very yellow. Okay, I'm just going to mix some more green in it. I need to bring it back to green. So I'm just I put some more darker green in my color just to get the green back. And I put a little bit of white just to tone down the yellow. And I'm going to go over these, I think, again. I think they're a little too much. Yeah, that's a little better. Still a little bright. Okay. Okay, we'll do some crisscrossies on these ones too. Okay, just put these anywhere you want them to live. Okay, so just keep putting in your lighter colored. Okay. All right. I just put a little bit of blue back in there too, just made a little bit of a tint to it, just to add some additional dimension to it. Where else do I want this to go? Maybe another one here. Like I'm saying, you can do 3 layers of color, but you can do as many layers of color as you desire, really. The more you do, the more depth it will have. 2. Okay. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Just sit a little bit further back and see. I think that's good. I'm leaning into this, hopefully it doesn't break. Okay, there we go. All right, let's continue on. Let's put some more on this side here too. Okay. All right, so let's just keep putting some brighter strokes in here. I'm gonna just get some more of my weird yellowy green and put a little bit in here too, actually. I feel like the side of my painting kind of like looks more like seaweed. I think I kind of made it more like swimmy. I love you. That's good. I'm good with that. Okay. I'm gonna get a little bit of white just to see if I can highlight a little bit. You know what? I think I am gonna do that. So when you have your lighter color done, you can get a little bit of white and just pick some of the like stems or blades of grass, depending what you're looking at here. And you can put a little bit of white, just touch a little bit of white to them. But actually with the white, make sure that you are like following the existing lines that are there, that don't create like a new one. And that'll make it come out a bit more. Mine's definitely a little brighter than the original. Okay, so that definitely looks more like seaweed. I'm leaning into it. No, when I put the flowers on, it'll look fine. Okay, there we go. So I'm just putting a little bit of highlight on some of those. And I think alternately, I'm just gonna try something and then I'll talk through what I'm doing. I don't think that's necessary actually. I was just putting in a little bit of more black into the background of some of it because I feel like I kind of lost some of the shadow and the darkness that was in here, but I don't think that's actually working the way I want it to, so I would not suggest to do that. I'm just gonna hide those up a little bit. All right, so I'll give you guys some time just to touch up some more of these. Yeah, I'm looking at our inspiration image and I definitely went more squiggly than I did like straight. So a lot of the lines on the inspiration image, especially on this side, like they're more, yeah, they don't have this like wiggle in it. They're a lot more like directional and swift. So if you have done that, that works out here. So like, see the difference between my kind of underwater version. And there we go. That's the original image there. So a lot more like straight streak lines. Okay. I'm gonna go with mine and see how it happens. Mine's definitely a lot brighter. I think I went a little bit too bright. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna think about flowers and how I want to approach them. So on our inspiration image, we have just 2 white flowers and we have, what is it, 5 red flowers. They're all tulips. So you can think about if you want to keep them the same colors as the inspiration image, to have like, again, the same flow with the 2 white and 5 red, or you want to change it up, or where you want them, depending on where your stems are. You may want to change up how the flowers look. There's a couple of different, we can look at the inspiration image again. There's a couple of different styles. So like this one's very like wide and open. That one's a bit more closed. These ones are almost like just after they were buds. So we can do a couple of variations like that. So I think with this image, I'm gonna be again similar to our inspiration image. So I'm gonna have one that's more open around here, around center-ish, center top. So I want that to kind of like be a focus of it. And then yeah, I do think I'm gonna have the one there. I'm gonna put one here. So I'm gonna kind of follow similarly to what we have in the inspiration there. And the way we're gonna build these is we're gonna build them from the furthest petal in the back to the front. That's how we're gonna do. So just to talk through how that's gonna be, and then we'll then build the stem around it afterwards. Nice. Laura says, our painting has wind. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, there's more going on here. It's a more significant storm. Not everything's just going in one direction. It's all over the place. I love it. All right, so I'm gonna start on my palette just to start putting the next couple colors on. So I'm still gonna use white. I still have quite a bit of white on here, so we're gonna stick with that. And then of course red. My paint is called Christmas Red. It's very bright red. So I'm gonna use that one. I think that's it for now, and we'll just mix and go from there. I do need a little bit more yellow, although I don't think I'm going to use yellow on the flowers, but I don't know, we'll see. I might be inspired to do so. Okay. Cool. Okay, Rula's ready. Awesome. You ready for the next step? Great. Okay, cool. Okay, so I think just for the interest of time, I'm going to start with one of the flowers. So don't feel rushed. Again, you can always watch the video. You can always continue it a bit afterwards. I want to show you how to do a couple of the versions of the flowers, whether, again, we get to all of them or not. We'll see how it goes. But I want to start getting onto that right now. So let's do that. Okay, so don't know which brush shall I use. Let's see, which one's going to agree most with me? Okay, maybe this one. All right, so let's start with the tulip that lives in this area here. And we're gonna do a tulip that is not fully opened yet, so it's a little bit closed. So let's start with seeing like where we want this tulip to live. So I have really bright red on here, which that's not going to be the final color of my flower. I'm just gonna wet it a little bit so I can play with it a bit. Okay. So we have so let's just get the shape of what we want that tulip to be. So this is like the back of the tulip here. Okay. So we have the shape there, and then let's get a little bit more red. Oh, this red's very watery as it is. Okay, and then we have, it's gonna come out like this. So it comes out a little bit on the side, and then you have the other petal on the other side. Okay, and this is just, we're just gonna build like where it lives, and then we're gonna put in some more color and definition afterwards, okay? Okay, and then obviously the front petal would go in the front here, but we can't really see it yet, okay? So that's where this flower is gonna go. Stacy, I'm using the number 3, so it's not like my super thin, but it has a bit more control. Although, to be honest, I'm not digging what my brush tip is doing. It's not cooperating. I don't know if you guys can see it. Ooh, it looks like it got really fuzzy there. But basically, it's it's deciding to like, yeah, be a bit of a rebel, and I'm not digging that. So I might switch to one of my other flathead brushes. So I'm just going to touch up okay, yeah. I'm not digging this brush, actually. I'm gonna switch my brush. I don't like the lack of control on that. Makes me upset. Let's try this one. Okay, so this is also a number 3, but it's instead of it being, so this one's supposed to be like a pointed brush. This one's like a flat. So it's like a flat tip. So I'm gonna try this instead and see if it cooperates a little bit more. Okay. So that back petal that we can't really see very well, it's going to be a little bit dark, so you just put a little bit of just a little black onto the red, and we're just going to darken that back part up a little bit. Okay, and again we're going to have another cover right on top of it, right? And then just put a little bit of just come around with this dark. So I have a little bit of black on my red, and then I'm just going to outline, because there's a bit of a shadow, so you can kind of see a bit of the shape of that front petal that we're going to be putting in a little bit. Kind of already outlining where it's going to live. Okay, so let's just give it a little bit of shadow on the other one so we know where it's going to be. Okay, and then I'm going to get some more red. I want it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to get a little bit of white. So it's going to be pinkish, I think, ultimately. Okay, so I'm just going to put in this color, this kind of like pinky color on top for this petal in the front. And as it dries, then we're going to add a little bit more detail to it. Okay, I still want it to be darker on the sides. So let's do that. So I'm just going over to kind of give it the shape so that we can see that front petal. But I don't want it to be just like one color, so I'm going back in the red and I'm just putting a little bit of red and I'm putting a little bit of white sometimes, and then going back to the red. So it's a few different colors showing. So I want that to dry a little bit before I put in some more emphasis, because I'm going to put in a little bit of white and a little bit of black just to differentiate one petal from the other, which you can't really tell too much at this point. Oh, the stroke shoes. Yeah, I guess my hand was fully covering that the entire time, wasn't it? That is not very helpful. Let me see, how can I, maybe if I think my hand's going to be in the way there too. Wondering if I can do it in a way where you can see it better. I should have probably looked there. All right, let's try it. Let me put another one like here, similar to that one. It's slightly different the way that one's open, but we'll do that one and I'll be a bit more with my hands so you can kind of see it better. So I'm just gonna start with just my red. Okay, let me see how this goes. Maybe. Let me see. Do I have paper accessible? Watch me still like cover it when I try to draw it with that. That'll be my luck, I bet. Ooh, I found a pencil. That's really good. Make sure I don't step on my coffee as I do this. All right, let's see if I can do it. So if we have, so the way this one is, so we started off and it was like, kind of like this kind of shape. So you have just like a circle, essentially. And then we need to come out and build the sides of the petals, right? So then we kind of going out into the sides. Like this side and then this side here, right? So that's how you have the two little like nibbies, right? And then you're gonna then put in the front petal. And the front petal kind of mimics the back one, but it's not gonna go as high up and it can be more of a point. Like that, right? So you can kind of have it. This is me with a pencil, so sorry about that. And then when we paint, we're going to have this a little bit darker. We're going to have some shadow kind of coming on either side here and here, right? This is going to be darker too because it's further back, right? And then we're going to put some white paint and some other, just to kind of like give this more shape in the front here and keep this a little bit darker, but then also have a little bit of shape in the back here too. But we can see that each of them are a petal. That's the way I kind of did it. Okay, so hopefully that is helpful. I look at it and it looks like a weird alien thing. Like I kind of want to draw like eyes now. I go from there. So that's how that one's gonna be. And then as we go through, they're all gonna, you think about them as each of the leaves, but they're all like a shape, right? They're all kind of like an almond. So they're all like just like an almond, right? Like just like an almond kind of shape. You can hardly see it when I first do it with a pencil. So it's just kind of like an eye, but to the side, right? So that's kind of like, you're always going to do kind of an almond, okay? To do the petals. It's always like this almondy kind of side, right? Even when we do ones that are smaller, even when we do the ones that are more open, it's that way. So hopefully you guys are saying that was helpful. So that was good. I'm glad it was. I've never done that before. That was exciting. Cool. So, and I would say like mine right now is not done. So I'll show you close. Like right now, like it doesn't look that great. It just has like the two little points. It has the back, a bit of color, but I still want to put some more definition in it because it's not where I want it to be. So I want it to dry a little bit because right now any paint I put on there is just being pulled off by the paint that's behind there. So I'm going to let it dry a little bit more before I play more with that. So let's do the one that's down like here. There's one that's living. Okay, if I put a flower here. Okay, so that's going to be the big white flower that I want. I think I'm going to put the other one here-ish, maybe on this one. And then I'm going to put another one here, and there's going to be one here. Okay, so I'm going to put that one. This one's going to live on this guy, that line, I think. Okay, so that one's pretty closed up. So this one is going to be, so again, this almond kind of shape. But this one is like, it has two almonds beside each other, like slightly overlapped, I guess is the best way. So there's kind of like an almond, you guys can see that shape here. I'm just gonna fill it all red, and then I'll add some more detail to it afterwards. Some more color. Okay. And then there's another one like right beside it, and it's kind of like slightly on top of it. It's almost like a heart that isn't well formed. Okay, and then there's going to be a little bit on the back here. So I'm just going to make a little like triangle, and that's like the back one there. So, okay, so that's that one there. That's the base of it. I'm going to put a little bit of white in here to see if I can just start defining. Also, again, the whole opaque thing. So when I put that red on, it's very see-through. And that wasn't working for me either, so. Okay, so I'm just playing with that a little bit. So I kept the front part a little bit with more white in it, and when I added a white to the red, it made like a pink. But it just made this one a little bit lighter than the one behind it, and then the one behind that is even darker. So that kind of just did it without me doing too much of my own. I just layered it and just put different colors, and it worked. I'm just going to make that a little, oh, that's too dark. Oh, black is so powerful. And I want back here to be a little darker. But of course it then touched the front. Okay, so I'm just using white. There you go, just to like highlight that line there. And then I'll just put a little bit of white. I'll just get a little bit of white kind of streakies in here. Just gonna mix that a little bit. I think that's working. Seems a little light though. Just put a little bit of red back in there just to cover up, because I think I went a little bit too light. So I'm just, every time, just kind of getting a little bit of red on my brush and then just like touching it slightly. Because every time I touch it, it basically picks up the color underneath it. So then it mixes it. And I'm trying not to mix it, but I wanted to try to keep the individual colors on there. I'm kind of liking the way this is looking. I think that's looking alright. We'll keep that the way that is. Okay, now that this is dried, I want to go back and just play with that more because I don't really like it. Okay. Oh, there I go, covering it up again. Oh, okay. Like this maybe? Okay, so I'm just going with a lighter. The trick is then I have to get more paint and then I get in the way. So I'm using like red with a little bit of white, so it's kind of like a pink, and I'm gonna try to outline this front leaf here. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little bit of white and kind of do the same thing I did with the one below there, and just add a little bit of like white streaks to give it a highlight, so this petal looks like it as separate from the other petals. I'm just going to put some more red back in there because I got a little bit too bright. So I'm just going to put a few little streakies. And then I'm going to just darken up the sides a bit because it's not exactly the way I want it. Sorry, I'm going to have to cover it, I think, a little bit, just so I can get this other side. So again, I'm just going to get a little bit of white and just like streak it up a bit. Okay, I think I'm happy with the way that looks now. Okay, cool. Ooh, time goes by so fast, guys. Okay, let's put in our like big white flower. Oh, before I forget, just in case I do as we continue going on, we also want to put in, I'm just going to go back to my thin brush with one of the green shades that we had. So you do want to just put like a little cup around the bottom of your tulip because it is held up by a little, it sits in a little, I don't know what they're called, but there's green that comes from the stem and it kind of like holds the cup. So you want to make sure that you are drawing that or painting that in once you have the tulip kind of the way you want it. Okay, so you do want to put in that little green bit there. Okay, so I just put in one of the lighter greens I had, and then I just picked up a little bit of my darker shade and just like touched it up slightly. So I like that. Okay, cool. Okay, let's put in the white flower. My white paint is pretty dry. Put some water in there. Okay, so these petals, let's see, again, it's kind of like this almond shape as well. So let's just plot it in. So here we go. So there's so I'm just going to paint in like an almond-y shape. Okay. then this one's gonna come out also like an almond shape. Maybe it squiggles a little bit. So almond shape, but then it just kind of has a point. It's still almond shape, but it has a bit more of a squiggle than the other one. The other one was like a very proper almond. This one's a more of a fun party almond. Okay. And then we want to put, well, this one a bit bigger actually. And then we're going to have one that's going to come this way. And it's going to be a little thinner. It's still almond, but this one kind of is bent a little bit. Okay. And I'm just using white paint for this part. And then we're going to have another one. This one's in the background. Kind of like that. Background almond. And this one too. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so this one's definitely in the forefront. And I'm just going to add a little bit more because it's, I don't want it to be so, paint to be so thin. It's just, you can thicken it up so you can, again, the petals are more opaque instead of it being so see-through and you can see the sky. I don't really like that personally. But I might have to let it dry a little bit before I do that, realistically. Yeah, I'm gonna let it dry a little bit because it's just pulling as I do it. Okay. So this is going to be darkened with a little bit of gray to give it a little bit of shadow to some parts, but you want to be cautious because it will kind of take over a bit. So there's going to be a little bit on this one, this guy in the background, right? Because that guy's a little bit in the back. Same with this guy too. So I'm just putting a little bit of gray on top of the wet white paint. And I'm just going to put a little bit on this front, but just a bit, just to give it a bit of life, because the petals aren't super straight, right? So I just touched it with a little bit of gray. Okay, particularly where there'd be a little bit of shadow because the other petals are on top of it. Okay. Okay, I think I need some more white. Okay. So as that does its thing, I'm just going to put a little bit more white paint. And actually, I kind of like the way this looks with the gray in it already. I don't know if I'm going to do much more with it. I think I might, less is more sometimes, you know? I think I want to put like a touch of blue in here too. Yeah, I do. Yeah, that works. I'm just putting a little touch of blue in this flower. I think that kind of works. It like brings in the sky to it or something. And I'm just putting it in some of the darker spots. That was a bit weird on this side. Okay. Put some white back in there. There we go. This is a little much. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, that guy looks good. All right, and so we got another one here. So let's do another white flower over here. Where do we want it? Maybe on one of these darker. Okay, so again, we're gonna do like an almond. And this one's going to be a little tighter than the one at the top there. Okay, so basically all of these have 5 petals. And they're all almonds. Almond shapes. Okay, some are a bit thinner because you can't see them as much in the background. Some are a bit fatter. It really doesn't matter how you do it, because in nature it can change up, right? Okay, so again I'm going to get a little bit of gray, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one, where I'm going to touch the ones that are in the background. So like this guy's in the background, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of gray, and that guy's in the background. Okay, and then I'm just gonna touch a little bit of the ones in the foreground, just to give it a little bit more of a look to it. There you go. And then I'm going to go back to white and then just alternate, just kind of have my strokes so you can see each of the petals from each other. With the white. There you go. And I think I'm still going to touch a little bit with the blue and do kind of what I did with the other one, because I like the, ooh, that's a lot of blue. That one a little bit crazy. Let me just clean that brush off. And let's pull that off. Okay. There we go, that's better. I'm going to put some more white back in. There we go. That guy looks good now. Much better. That big splash of blue, I was like, oh no. What did I do? Okay, and again with your green, okay, just go in and just put in just connect it to the stem that way. Okay, and the same here too. Let's make that a little bit lighter. The stem is really ugly. I'm not so sure about that guy. Hi, Linda. Thank you. I'm glad you think it's pretty. That's awesome. I'm glad. hopefully you guys are enjoying this. We're wrapping up very shortly, so it's already 7:50. So we still have, so with the painting there's still 1, 2, 3 more flowers to do, and the rain. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys how to do the rain, and then I will continue on painting some more of the flowers. But then if you want to like do your own thing, and if you need to like mosey on along, then you'll know how to at least do the rain, and then we're good to go. So I'm just going to use white paint, and I'm just going to use my thinnest brush. I'm going to water it down a little bit, okay? And then we're just going to basically just put light, thin strokes that go in the same kind of diagonal direction. And when you do this, try to make them like, just put them all over the place. Try to have them similar like size. Don't have them like super wide. Let's have some off the page too. Okay, and this is gonna go like all the way into your painting. So all the way down. Ooh, that was bad. That's a little much. Oh yeah. I was able to rub that off my finger. That's funny. You can still see it, but you can hide it with another little stroke. That was fluky. So that's essentially that when you want to put in all the rain. I'm doing some a little thinner, or trying to anyways. And they can go right over some of your flowers too. Right? So there we go. I'm gonna need a few more lighter ones here. Off the canvas. Cool. So that's pretty much all the elements for the painting. So you have like the rain, you have the flowers, you have the really awesome, fun sky that we did. I really enjoyed doing the sky. I thought that was really, really fun. So that's pretty much all the elements. You have all the elements. If you wanted to sign off and continue doing it later, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to continue on, so if you want to stick around with me and we can continue and put in some more of the flowers, please do. So I'm going to put in, there's 3 more flowers. There's one around here, one around here, another one over here. So I'm going to do those flowers now. And then I'm probably going to go back in and put a little bit more rain like on top of them, because that might look kind of weird if those ones for some reason are immune to the rain. They look a little bit odd. I'm going to work on this flower here. This one's a little bit, it's still red, but it's a little bit darker. But I'm going to still stick with the same idea as we had before. So again, we're going to have like, maybe have paint that's actually wet on my brush. Okay, so we're going to start with this kind of almond shape. Okay, and this actually I'm going to make it a little bit, not so pointed. I want to make it a little bit more square on the top there. Okay, and then I'm going to put another one, this one's behind it. Also a little more square. Like that. Okay, and then there's a little bit there. Okay, so there's like 3 petals. Okay, so now let's get in behind there. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of dark to it. And I'm just gonna this big petal in the front, there's a little bit of shadow on the one behind it, and then obviously this petal behind here is darker, so I'm just gonna make it a little darker. Okay, and then I'm just gonna not make this line like a straight line, but I'm just gonna bring it up into this other petal here. Okay, but then that one in the back needs to be a little bit darker than the ones in the front. Okay. Okay. And then this guy in the front, and get a little bit of white. Oh, I think it's gonna be a lot of white. Yeah, too much white. Okay, I'm just gonna get a little bit of white, and I'm just going to outline that petal in the front there. And then also do the same thing behind there. And just put a little bit here too. It's not super dark. I think that works. I want it to be a little darker at the bottom here. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of dark on this side of it. It's all wet basically as I'm doing this and touching it. So there's that guy. Okay. And then we'll also put that little green base on that in a moment too. All right, so now let's put in 2 more flowers. This one's a more open one. Kind of want to do that one next. I'm going to do that one here. Okay, so with the red, let's start with, which stem am I going to use? I don't even know. I think I want the front petal to be here. So again, a nice almond shape to start. Okay, but I want to make this a little rounder at the top there. I don't want it to be super almond, or I don't want it to be a point, sorry. I want it to be a round at the top. A little bit rounded. A little bit too pointed doesn't work for me. Okay, so there's that. And then we're gonna have another one come out this way. Okay. Okay. We're gonna have one come out this way, but this one's gonna be a little thinner. Okay. And we're gonna have another one here. But similarly, it's not gonna be as big. Okay, and there's another one in the background here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so with this too, again, let's make it a little dark with some black, And then where are the shadows going to be? The shadows are going to be, so this guy here, so we're just gonna trace, I don't know, follow along the line of like the petals in the front, and then we're just gonna bring it up a little bit into this guy in the back, because that's gonna be a little bit darker there. Okay, this petal here is in front of the other ones, so it's gonna cast a shadow of its shape on the other side. Covering the screen again. So I'm just gonna go around like that with the black, so there's a line there, and I'm gonna go with red and then just soften it a little bit. Okay, that did not soften it. That's okay. I'll fix it in a little bit. Okay, and then this guy is behind this guy, so I'm just gonna touch it here too. I'll fix it up in a moment. And then again, this guy's in the front, so I'm just gonna trace it along here. Okay, so now let me get some red on my brush. Okay, and then I'm just gonna bring red over this darker area, but then that should blend it over a bit. Yeah, like that. Okay, so I'm just going over, putting red on the area just in front of where I just made it darker, and then I'm just pushing red into that darker space. So I'm putting it like here, and then I'm bringing it into the darker area. So then it kind of like builds that shadow. So here too, I'm going to put the red here where it should be a bit brighter, and then I just dab it into the darker area. So here too, I'm going to put red at the top, and I'm going to dab it into the darker area. That's a little bit dry already, so I'm just going to touch it with my finger. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and here too, so red, and then I'm just going to bring it into the... I also want my flower to be opaque, so I'm just going to make sure that you can't see stems through the actual flower. Okay, and this front one's going to be nice and red. And then I'm going to touch up my lines as well now that I do this front petal, because some of when I was playing with the colors in the back, it kind of affected the integrity of this petal, so I'm just going to reline it like that. Let's get a little bit of white. Okay, and then we're just going to touch it to give it a little bit of je ne sais quoi. Here too. And a little bit here, a little bit there. A little bit too much. Let's put some more red back in. Let's make it a little darker at the bottom here. There we go. I think that's working good. I'm just going back and forth with the red and the dark because I wanted to make it a little darker at the bottom, but I made it a little bit too dark. So I'm just retouching that up a bit. I just want to use my finger. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to finger paint today. You know what? That's actually, I kind of like that more. And then I can just touch it up like this, maybe. Cool. My brush is a little, has too much black paint on it. Okay. I like that guy. He's good. Alright. And let's do, I might touch it up again. I don't know. It looks very dark in comparison to my other tulips. But we'll see. Let's put one more here. What time is it now? 8:04, not bad. Okay, so right here, here. So again, kind of an almond shape. beside it. Okay. And then one in the background here. Okay. And this one just has one more that we can see. Okay. That guy's nice and big. Okay. So let's get a little bit of black, make it a little darker. Okay, so this one, so again, this one in the back, we have shadow here, and I'll bring it up into the flower. And then, so this petal is in the foreground, so we're gonna just touch it around here so that this petal in the background is a little bit darker. And we'll touch up the line in a moment too in the front. And same on this side, so this petal's in the front. And then this petal behind here is in the back. Let's just put this like that. A little bit at the bottom. Okay. A little bit darker. So. Okay. And then let's get our red. And then let's just touch here to make a more specific line for that petal. So this guy's in the foreground. So there we go. Okay. And then let's just do the same thing with this guy in the back here. Okay, this guy too. And this guy too. So that already looks pretty good. I think I'm just going to add a little bit of white to it, and then I'm going to stop touching it. Sometimes the more I touch it, the worse it is. So I'm just going to add a little bit of white. There you go. I think that guy's good. Alright, so let's go and put in those little green cups that hold the petal in place. Okay, so here. I'm just going to do that. Okay, that is not very good. Okay. And this one. Okay. There we go. And then here. Still wet. Maybe that was a bad idea. As I go back and do it again. Yeah, maybe I need to wait till it's done. I think I kind of made that look kind of weird. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so I think I'm pretty much complete. I might touch up this guy a little bit. I think I'm going to put a little bit more white. It's a little... So yeah, so just like, you can just look and see where else you want to touch up your painting. Is there any other flowers? You can add more flowers if you want. You can add whatever you want. You want to add a bird, some clouds, some anything you want, you can add to it. See, this looks better than I sometimes that happens too. Like I'll paint and then while I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, I'm not really digging it. And after I stop and I look at it, I think, oh, that's way nicer than I thought it actually looked. So that helps too. All right, just kind of again take a step away and then you can appreciate it a lot more. Just gonna go back in and put in a few more like rain lines. So I want it to go kind of like over some of the flowers I just did. So I just put a line over that guy. And then maybe over here, like that. I think I might just leave that one as is, like that. Okay. All right. So I think we are all done. I'm pretty happy with it. I definitely went a little bit lighter on all of these like grasses and stems more than the original painting. The original painting, as you can see, had a lot fewer. It was a lot more detailed. Like it was more, the background had a lot more stuff going on. I'm pretty happy with it though. I like the feeling of it. I think the rain looks really cool. I loved, my favorite part still was doing the sky. I think the sky was like super fun to do. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Awesome. Yeah. So, oh good. I'm so glad. So Laura, you had a good time. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Rose. Thanks, Jen. That's really great. Yeah. The fine details and the shadows really, make it pop, I think. So that's really great. So I can't wait to see all of your paintings. So please, 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 when you guys are all done, snap a picture and share it in the comments. I would really love to see it and see how you guys have made it your own. And again, I'll have 3 more painting options for you on Saturday at noon. And then we'll paint again next Wednesday night. So if you guys are enjoying this, please like and share and let anyone else know who might want to join in on the fun. All of this is available for free on the site, so if you need to review or want to share it with someone else and they didn't get a chance to do it, then they can always just jump on and watch the video on there. When I'm done, I'll be posting it on there. All right, guys, have a fantastic rest of your night, great week, and thanks so much for joining me. Bye, guys. There's the painting again. Yay!